Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, the housekeeping notes, all the product I'm using and all the dimensions are listed below. There's a link to my online store if you wish to purchase any of these products and help support my channel. There's a link to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you join that. There is my email address if you have any questions. And finally, remember to like, share, and subscribe and help me grow in YouTube world. Today we're going to be playing with Spooky Halloween and Fright Night. We are going to make us a little treat bag. So before we get making the bag, I think I want to make all the elements I want to put on the outside of the bag. So let's get started with that. Oh, you want to know what the bag looks like? This is my cute bag. Very simple, but cute. The overall size of the bag is 3 3/4 by 2 by 5 inches tall. It's got a reinforced top, so you can put lots of goodies and treats in it. I don't have any Halloween treats to put in there currently. I don't keep candy and that stuff in the house, so it's too tempting, you know. So it's better not to bring it in, but it will hold a lot. I'm sure it'll hold several candy bars, especially those little mini Snickers. So let's make all the elements we need. First, we need some white cardstock, some basic white, and I'm going to use the to the point punch. And I'm going to punch me out a little piece here with the punch. Now, you don't have to use this one. You could use a circle. You could use anything to do this, but it's just going to be the base. And then I need to make my little sign that says Halloween, and I'm going to do this with the Happy Halloween, and I'm going to use Timid Tiger, and I'm going to be cutting it out with this die, so I want to make sure I leave plenty of room to cut that Happy Halloween out. So we'll need to die cut that. We'll come back to that in just a second. And then we need, on this one, we need to stamp Spooky across here. And Spooky is a photopolymer. And we're going to use Granny Apple Green. And just come down just ever so slightly with Spooky. And let's see. I think that is all the stamping we have to do. The next thing we need is we need our spider webs. I've already taken, there's 3 of these in the, it's in the Fright Night. These come out of the Fright Night. There's 3 spider webs. I've cut out 2 out of Granny Apple Green to save us a little bit of time. In the Spooky Halloween, there is some black bats, and so I've cut those 2 out. I made 2 because it cuts 2, and I'm going to use 2. And finally, out of Fright Nights, to go along with those lovely spider webs, are the beautiful spiders, or spitters as we call them around here. At least in our house we call them spitters. The girls are supposed to hunt these down, but they don't usually. They just play with them if they find them and wait for Mom to kill them. So that's all the pieces we need. So we need to die cut this one real fast. So, and we're not going to use all those spiders, but you could put as many spiders or bats as you want on your card, on your package. And I'm going to just show you. I'm just reducing the amount going through the machine because there's a lot of good scrap there. And get that lined up pretty good. And we'll die cut that piece. Like I said, I die cut a lot of this just to save us a little bit of time. And there is our Happy Halloween. Now you don't have to say Happy Halloween. You could say any of the other verses that are on here, whatever you wanted. Or you could use the dies that say boo and eek, and you could put that on there. But that's what I wanted. So that's all of my elements we're going to need. So we're just going to set all of these off to the side here for a second while we build the bag. So this is the paper we're going to be using, and it is directional. You've got all the cute little eyes and the bats and everybody looking at you. And we need a piece of paper that is 12 by 8. So 12 inches wide, 8 inches high. If you're directional, be very mindful when you cut. So we're going to cut this at 8 inches. And we have a nice piece. You can make, you know, a couple cards with that. Okay, and you can do all the scoring on here, but I prefer to use my scoreboard when I'm doing this type of stuff. So on the 12-inch side, we are going to be scoring at, get everybody lined up, make sure I'm looking at my paper the right direction, 3 3/4, 5 3/4, 9 1/2, and 11 1/2. Like I said, all the dimensions are going to be listed below. Then you're going to turn it 90 degrees, so the bottom of your paper is here. You're going to score it at 2 inches and 7 inches. And then we're going to come back to starting point again, because we're going to put a couple partial score lines in. Now, you don't need to use a ruler. I just like using a ruler because I find it's just easier for me. Because I want this to come, and this is very busy paper. So I want to come down to 5 inches. So I set my ruler right here at 5 inches. And so at 4 3/4, we're going to score down to that mark. And at 10 1/2, we're going to score to there. Like I said, you could run your finger across and just eyeball it that way if you wanted, but I just like using the ruler. Okay, so we're all done scoring. Now let me put all that back over there. And it's time to do some burnishing. So we're just going to go this way. And those little partial score lines, we're just going to ignore them for now. Got some glue right there on my desk. Hang on here. Keep on sticking my paper in it. And that one there. So we've got those all. Then we're going to come up here to the top and we're going to fold that in. Now, you can't put a lot of weight in this because it is just DSP. It's not cardstock, but most candy will be just fine. You do need to want to stick something hard in here. I would recommend you put a piece of cardstock in the bottom, possibly. Or you could build this out of cardstock and not DSP and then decorate the box. But this is really sturdy. You know, our cardstock, our DSP is so heavy. So we've got all those pieces in there. So now we're going to do a little bit of trimming. Over here is this one little square. I'll come here and I'm just going to wedge it just ever so slightly. So it looks like that. Then we're going to come up this up to the first score line. So this is the bottom, the 2-inch piece. And I'm going to come in on these little tabs, the smaller tabs, and I am just making wedging, just mitering it ever so slightly. It'll make it close so you don't have little pieces hanging out the bottom. Oop. I lost my room there. There. So this is what you have so far. Oop. So you got these two loose in there. On the top piece, there is a small piece. You're going to come straight down the score line, and we're going to miter it just slightly in, just like that. We don't cut anything up here. So that's what we have so far. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this top piece and we're going to put some tear tape on here and seal it down. You can use glue, but when I'm doing bags and boxes, lots of times I like to use the tear and tape. It's faster. But I will be using glue on the base because glue is a natural hardener of paper. So I'm going to give that a quick little rub. I find that if you rub that a little bit, when you go to pull it off, it comes off and you don't have any problems pulling off your tear and tape. I'm going to push that in. Just like that. Now I'm going to come back to where those original folds are and fold those and burnish them one more time since we folded this and reinforced that top. Just like that. There's what we have so far. The next, we're going to hook the top and the bottom together. So it's going to go like this, and then this will come over just like that. And I'm going to use tear and tape again. But I'm going to show you something. This is just to make sure that this side is really secure. You don't have to do this. You can just use one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with my tear and tape. I'm coming right over to that score line, just so I can barely see it. And then I'm going to come in here and put in another strip of tape. Especially if you're giving this to kids, sometimes they can get a little rough. Now you're going, this is hanging over. It is hanging over slightly, and that's why I'm using my mat to do this on. But let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to take off that one. And this one you have to come from the inside because you have nothing under the side over here. I don't know if you can actually see. I think you can. You see the tape sticking out over here off to the side? What I'm going to do is just come in here and take my finger, that little piece of tape, I'm just folding it back on itself. So that means that whole panel is sticky now. It's not just one strip, it's the whole panel. I'm going to fold that over, and I like to turn it towards me just to make sure that everybody is lining up properly, which it should. Just like that. So that's how we have so far. Here's the back right there. So now at this point, this is when I'm going to take that partial score line, just ever so gently, I'm just pushing in at the top here. Just a little bit. And a little bit here. That way, I've already got it started. All right, so we know where the back is. So I'm going to come over here. The back piece is going to go in first. And grab some glue. And I'm going to put some glue on the back piece here. And I'm going to push my two sides in, making sure I've got everybody square. I'm going to add some more glue. I am adding a fair amount because, like I said, I want to make sure this holds good. And then push that down. And then this one you could use, depending on the size of your hand, you can actually just take your hand in here, or you can take a bone folder, you know, whatever you want. You just need to make sure that it is pushed down and you give it a minute to set up, okay? All right, So while that's doing that, I am going to get my ribbons ready. Now this first one I used Timid Tiger. I'm gonna have to get him out of a plastic box. When you have two cats, you have to lock up your ribbon. Anyhow, this side I decided to use, it doesn't match exactly, but I thought it looked really cool with it. And that's the Secret C. But you could use anything you have. A while, not too long ago, we had some Granny Apple Green. We had Petunia Pop. So you could put any color you wanted. I made my spider webs Granny Apple Green. You don't have to make them green. You can make them another color. So, and I have already tied knots on one end, so you didn't have to watch me tie knots 4 times. And I'm just going to take my hole punch here, and I'm going in here, oh, I don't know, 1/2 inch roughly, and about 1/4 inch from there. I'm not doing precise measuring. And I'm just going to come across here to the other side. This is strictly eyeballing it. Try to go about the same distance. Like I said, I'm not being precise with this. This is a treat bag, and you don't have to be precise. So that should work just fine. So, tie a knot. You need 2 pieces that are, hang on, I wrote this down because I knew everybody would want to know. That was 16 inches long. I used 16 inches. So 2 pieces. I tied knots in one of this. It was 4 knots. This ribbon's not real thick. If you have a thicker ribbon, you may not have to. So I'm just pulling that through that way. And then I'm going to push this one through here. Pull it out, and on the end here, there's 1, 2, 3, and number 4. Try to keep them all in one spot, so they all. So if you have any extra here, you can trim it off. And then those knots just go down inside the bag. I was right. Secret C's looked really cool with that. And then this one, we have this side. And 4 more knots. See why I tied the other knots ahead of time? There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And number 4. And pull that one off the back over here. So there's our cute little handles. Okay, so now it's time to put our front together. So here's all the pieces I made. So let's start here. And we're going to hook down some spider webs down here towards the bottom. About like that. And so I'm just going to use a little glue. I'm actually going to grab my silicone mat to build this on. So I'm just going to take a little glue here. And just on this end of this, put a little bit of glue. And a little bit of glue on this one. And then I'm going to come in here and stick them together and build a nice little spider web. Just like that. And yes, it's sticky because it's got some glue in there, but that's fine. I'm going to show you why. Because we are going to take the Happy Halloween and we're going to stick that right across there. And I'm going to grab some dimensionals here. I have a strip here, really quite handy. Oh, 2 strips. It just happened to be what was left on the sheet. So that will work very nice. And we're going to stick, you can stick it lower or higher, wherever you want. I'm going to go mine right about there. And then I'm going to put a bat on, or I'm going to put one of my spiders on. I'm only using one. And I'm going to use a black dimensional for that. Little mini black dimensional. And they fit right in the middle, just like that. And now I'm going to put my speeder in here, about like that. He's there. And then, got things stuck everywhere. I have my bats. So I think I want to put one of my bats. So it's coming in here just like that, sort of flying out underneath the spooky. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on this one wing. And about like that. But it would look really cute on this, by the way, if you still had any of the fluorescent ghosts and bats from last Halloween. Be very cute on this. I know some people probably have some left. And then this one here, we're going to put this bat, something like this. So I'm going to put the little black dimensional right there. Don't worry, they're going to get more secure than just one dimensional. Like that. So that's our scene. We can put more spiders, more bats. Put whatever you wanted on there. Now, I'm going to flip this over. And we're going to put some dimensionals on this. Since we're not mailing this in an envelope, we can put as much dimensionals on this as we want. Now I'm going to come in here. Now, if you look at the layers, this one here is on the same layer as this, but this one is at 2 layers. So I'm going to come in here and put one black dimensional right here behind that bat. This one I'm going to put one there. I'm going to peel off that, and I'm going to stick one more on top of it and try to line it up so it's lined up properly. There. And we can pull that one off. So that's on the same level as everything else now. Okay, let's peel these all off. Like I said, you couldn't go to town. And you didn't want to do die cutting? You know, we have a whole, all these come with a lot of stickers. You could use all the stickers, you know, on this. It's whatever you wanted. And, oh, I don't want to make sure not to cover up all those cute eyes. I will cover up one of the eyes. And put it a little lower. Stick my hand in there. And that is our tree bag for today. I think it's rather cute. Here's the one with the Timid Tiger ribbon. So they don't all have to be the same. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Everybody have a wonderful day. Goodbye.